The figure of the beast is probably one of the best known images in the whole book of Revelation. The beast has been an object of considerable speculation for generations, and people today are no exception. The beast is described in Revelation chapter 13. The beast is said to have 7 heads and 10 horns, and it embarks on a campaign of oppression and violence against the saints of God on earth. So who is the beast? What are we to make of this? Again, John is using a rich set of word pictures to convey something about a reality that clearly is threatening, but not always so easy to discern. It seems clear from John's description of the beast that the point of describing the beast in Revelation chapter 13 is not to give us the physical characteristics of this figure of evil. Although John says that the beast has 7 heads and 10 horns, I think everybody would agree that the idea is not that we're supposed to go on the lookout for a creature that looks exactly like that to the naked eye. It would actually be helpful if evil was so easy to identify. I mean, anyone who could see a creature with 7 heads and 10 horns would know to stay away. But John seems to be describing a reality that's probably more insidious than that, much more difficult to discern. So what is John doing? Why does Revelation communicate by using this strange image of a beast? Well, rather than running to today's newspaper and trying to make a neat correlation between the identity of the beast and someone in today's headlines, it might be more helpful to put it back in the book of Revelation and to notice that the story of the beast actually begins in Revelation 12, the chapter before. Revelation 12 tells the story of a great dragon who's first appeared in heaven. The great dragon, this serpent-like creature, is identified as Satan, and he is about to persecute a woman who is in the process of giving birth. The vision of the woman in chapter 12 is a woman who represents the people of God. Because the people of God are the people who give birth to the Messiah. They're the people from whom the Messiah comes, the one who is to rule the nations with a rod of iron. That's a way of describing the Messiah. And Satan is this evil figure who persecutes the people of God. Midway through chapter 12, there's a battle in heaven. Although this dragon has pursued the woman and she's fled to the wilderness looking for safety, there's a battle between Michael and the angels in heaven. And they are able to defeat the dragon, cast the dragon down out of heaven, so that the dragon comes down to earth and embarks upon a campaign of persecution of the people of God. Now, we find that the dragon keeps up its designs against God's people, pursuing the woman into the wilderness. The woman is preserved by the providence of God, and yet the devil goes off to make war against the rest of her children, those who keep the commandments of God and the testimony of Jesus. When you look at a passage like Revelation chapter 12, it's clear that we're dealing with word pictures that are difficult to locate on a map or a calendar. That it's difficult to determine where Satan would have landed on a map, if you could find out where did he fall, or to plot exactly what was the date that Satan was cast out of heaven. Those kinds of questions really don't pertain. What Revelation 12 gives us is a picture of the persistence of evil, the persistent threat that evil poses against the people of God, and what it means for God to protect and preserve a people in the face of such evil. Rather than using the ordinary categories of time and space, Revelation uses these vivid kinds of word pictures to convey a reality that would have seemed vivid to people of John's time as well as to people of later times. The point of the story in chapter 12 is to show something about the character of evil as it exists on earth. One of the questions that people find is, when you look around, you wonder, why does evil rage so fiercely on earth? Why does evil seem to be so powerful? The obvious answer would be because evil is unstoppable. But Revelation has a different perspective. According to Revelation chapter 12, evil doesn't rage on earth because it's so powerful, but because it's so vulnerable. Evil rages on earth because evil has already lost in heaven. Satan pursues people on earth because Satan no longer has a place in heaven. Which means that Satan isn't a wild and unstoppable animal, but more like a caged animal, a wounded animal. And sometimes those can be the most ferocious kind. Revelation portrays evil in this way so that people know that evil is not the supreme power in the world. Evil is on the run. It rages, it's real, but God's power is supreme. That's what leads into Revelation 13 in the story of the beast. The story of Satan being cast out of heaven depicted Satan as a dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns. In chapter 13, when the beast arises, we find that just like Satan, the beast has 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast becomes another way of talking about evil incarnate, the forms that evil takes in the world. Now, when you read your way through Revelation, you'll find that this is not the first word picture that John has used. Earlier, we found that John described a lamb. The lamb and the beast are 2 opposites in Revelation. The traits of the beast and the traits of the lamb are mirror opposites. Just as the lamb was not a physical description of Christ, neither is the beast a physical description of Satan, but both tell us something about the realities of God incarnate and Satan incarnate. Consider some of the similarities and differences between these 2 images of the beast and the lamb. According to Revelation chapter 13, this beast was slain and yet lived. We noted earlier in chapter 5 that the lamb was slain and yet lived. According to Revelation 13, the beast conquers, but it conquers by war. The lamb, according to Revelation 5, conquers by faithful suffering. The beast, according to Revelation 13, oppresses people of every tribe and tongue and folk and nation. But according to Revelation chapter 5, the Lamb ransoms people of every tribe and tongue and folk and nation. By the time we make our way to the end of Revelation chapter 13, we find that the beast's followers are required to be marked on the forehead and the hand. But according to Revelation chapter 7, we found that the Lamb's followers are sealed on their foreheads. The point of those identifying marks are that everyone belongs to someone. The only question is, who do you belong to? There is no neutrality in Revelation. Everyone will belong to someone. The only question is, do you belong to the beast or the lamb? By posing these 2 pictures, by presenting these 2 pictures to readers of Revelation, the book gives us 2 alternatives: a vivid portrayal of evil, a vivid portrayal of the power of God. If we ask ourselves, would the people of John's time, did they understand that the Lamb was real? The answer would be yes. If we ask people of our time, is the Lamb real for us? The answer again is yes. For people of John's time, was the beast real? I think people in those churches would have said yes, that the power that the beast represents certainly was a threat. We can ask ourselves, is the power of the beast real for us? Again, the answer would be yes. The Lamb and the beast portrays things that are real, but are not confined to one moment in time. Rather, it presents us with 2 alternatives, the power of evil and the power of God. Within the context of the story, one of the little pieces that often goes unnoticed are the words of the people in Revelation chapter 13, verse 4. The people say, "Who is like the beast? Who can fight against it?" They're resigned. They assume that evil is unstoppable. Revelation does not want the readers of the book to have that same response. For those who've read chapter 12, when the question comes, who is like the beast? Who can fight against it? The answer that Revelation gives is Christ can fight against it. Christ's power is supreme. To be in relationship with Christ is to be on the side that will prevail in the end. Some questions to think about as you reflect on the meaning of the visions in Revelation 12 and 13 would be, as we interpret these for our time, what are some of the dangers in identifying something as evil? What are some of the problems that arise when we look at something and say, here we see the beast? On the other hand, ask yourself what happens if we can never say, this is evil. If we can never say, here's where evil is operative. What problems does that create? Finally, ask yourself, how might Revelation help us in our process of discernment? By portraying both the Lamb and the beast to us in ways that help give us a lens through which we can discern the power of God and the power of evil in the world in which we find ourselves.